Today we're going to look at finding lengths of line segments in a coordinate plane using what we already know about polygons and area and how to plot ordered pairs. So looking down here at example 1, we are first going to look at how to draw a polygon in a coordinate plane. So we're given some vertices of a quadrilateral. That just means it's a four-sided shape. It says that A is 2, 4. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to start at the origin, go over to 2, up to 4. We can always go over and then up. I'm going to place my point there, and then I'm going to label it A. Okay, then it says B, 3, 9. So I'm going to start here, over to 3, go up to 9, place that point there, and call that B. All right, then it says letter C, 7, 8. So we go over 7, and we go up 8, and we're going to label that one C. D is 8, 1. Over to the 8, up to the 1. There's my D. So when you create your polygon, you always start with the first letter of the alphabet. Essentially, you're going in alphabetical order. So I'm going to start with A, and I'm just going to go in order. I'm going to connect that to the B, then to the C, to D, oops, and then over back to the A. So you do want to use a straight edge if possible. Your ID is fine. If you have a small ruler, that's okay too. But go ahead and do the 2 at the bottom here for me. Just plot those points and then connect A to B to C. Here you're going to connect W to X to Y to Z. Go ahead and pause the video, give that a try, and then unpause to check your work. Okay, so here are the 2 shapes I created. So I've got my polygon up here. Here's my triangle I created. And then I have this rectangle over here, square. Okay. Go ahead and flip this over for me. All right, so we're going to kind of add on to that now. On top of creating the polygon, we are going to look at finding the perimeter. So, situated here. There we go. All right, so in this problem, it says our vertices are of a rectangle. So we have F, G, H, and J. It skips I just because I can be confused for a 1, so we often don't use it. So I'm going to go ahead and plot those points. So F is going to go at 1, 6. Okay, G is 7, 6. H is 7, 2. J is 1, 2. All right, and then again, if you have a straight edge on hand, you can use that, or just follow your grid lines carefully if you can to connect your dots to make your rectangle. Okay, so now we want to find the perimeter, so the outer edge. We could, of course, just count the grid lines and find our perimeter, the outer edge there. But if you didn't have the ability to graph it, or you weren't able to do that at one point, you could just use your coordinates. So we're going to talk about that here. So to find your horizontal distance, we're going to do that one first. So horizontally from here to here. Okay. What you want to do is find the difference of your x coordinates. Because horizontal is the x-axis, therefore we want to subtract our x coordinates. So if I look up here, my x coordinates are 7 and 1. 7 and 1. So I would just do 7 minus 1. We get 6. Okay. So then when I want to find the vertical distance, since the y-axis is my vertical axis, I'm going to find the difference of the y-coordinates. Difference of the y-coordinates. So here to here. So 6 and 2 are those numbers. So that tells me that my length and width are 6 and 4. So perimeter we know is 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Oops. 4. 2 times 4. So we end up with 20 units. Since we're talking about perimeter here, you wouldn't put units squared because it's just perimeter, so there's no need for the squared there. It's just the grid lines. So that's just my outer edge. That's saying my outer edge is 20 units. Okay. All right, so let's take a look here at a word problem. So we have a grid here. It's not labeled yet, but this represents some exhibits of a zoo. And we want to talk about the giraffe exhibit in particular. So here's our coordinates, E, F, G, and H. 0, 90, F is 60, 90, 130, and 0, 30. Those are measured in feet. Okay. Obviously, the giraffes are big animals. They're going to have a big exhibit. So what we are ultimately trying to figure out is what is the area of the giraffe exhibit. Now, we have to go ahead and graph this because we don't know what shape it is. So in order to find our dimensions, we have to know what shape we're looking at first. So first thing we want to do, my numbers go all the way from 0 to 100. We can't go from 0 to 100 here on each line because we only have 10 spaces. So this is where we're going to draw this to scale. So what I mean by that is I'm going to start, here's my 0, okay, and I'm going to label each of these by 10s. And I'm just going to, so this would be 10, my second line would be 20, here's 30, then 40, 50, 60, and so on. So I'm counting by 10s along here. 10, 20, 30, each line represents 10. And then I'm going to do the same thing vertically as well. So I'm going to start with 0, then this represents 10, and so on. And I just didn't write every single number just so it doesn't look very messy. If I wrote 10, 20, 30, 40, it would just look really messy. So it's okay to, even though I skipped that line, I know it's a 10 there because 10 is halfway between 0 and 20. So now we can go ahead and graph our exhibit. So E is 0, 90. So here's my 0. I'm going to go up to 90. Okay, that's my E. The F is 60, 90. G is 100, then up to 30. And then H, we're starting at 0, and we go up to 30. All right, now we're going to go ahead and connect our dots. So I'm going to start with E, connect that to F, and then F to G, and G to H, and then H back up to E to close it up. So the shape we have here is a trapezoid. We only have one set of parallel sides with 2 different bases. So this is a trapezoid. So the dimensions that we need are the 2 bases and the height. So to find my 2 bases, I'm going from here to here. That's 60 minus 0. So base 1 is just going to be 60 units, 60 feet. Base 2, from here to here, that's 100 over to 0. So base 2, 100 minus 0, base 2 is 100 feet. My height, okay, I'm up here at 90, and it ends down here at the 30. So if I subtract those, 90 minus 30, my height is 60 feet. Okay, so we have our 3 dimensions. Now we just need to use our formula for area of a trapezoid. So that's 1/2 the height times our 2 bases added together. And then I'm going to substitute in those numbers. All right, so my height is 60. I'm going to add my 2 bases together here. So now I have 1/2 times 60 times 160. And I could multiply 60 times 160, and then I could cut that in half. But I'm going to take half of 60 first, just because in my mind that seems a little bit simpler. You could also take half of 160 first. So half of 60 becomes 30 times my 160. I know 3 times 16 is 48, and then if I add those two zeros on there, I have 4,800. So since this is a word problem, I'm going to go ahead and answer it in a complete sentence. So I would say the area of the giraffe exhibit is 4,800 feet squared. Okay, I'm going to have you try one of these on your own here. You have a rectangle this time. Okay, that's given to you. It says it's a rectangle here. So you're going to go ahead and graph that first. Okay, so go ahead and pause your video and then graph that rectangle for me. Okay, so one thing I wanted to point out here, you'll notice it says L, the coordinates are 4, 1.5. So I went over to the 4, but to get the 1.5, the 1 and 5/10, I'm just going to go halfway between the 1 and 2. So my point isn't really on a line, and that's okay. That represents the 1.5. So now you need to go ahead and find your perimeter. So you're going to take 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. And then you're going to find your area, length times width. Go ahead and pause your video and go ahead and solve both of those for me. Okay, so my length is 2 across the top, and then my vertical distance, my width was 5.5. So for my perimeter, 2 times 2, and then 2 times 5.5, or I'm just adding all 4 sides together, and I got 15 units. Since it's perimeter, there's no squared. Length times width for the area, so I got 11 units squared.